Welcome to the Agoura Hills Planning Commission meeting of August 20th, 2026. Please silence all cell phones and electronic devices during the live meeting. To prevent interference with the audio-visual system, do not join the Zoom webinar from within the council chambers. Members of the public may comment on any item on the agenda either in person or in the council chambers or remotely via Zoom, which is audio only. All speakers addressing the Planning Commission are to refrain from disorderly conduct that disrupts or otherwise impedes the orderly conduct of the meeting. I will now defer to the city clerk.
Thank you, Chair Reinhardt. As we do not have currently any remote members, we're going to forego that long explanation until we get to a point where we have speakers.
Great. I will call the meeting to order, and I will defer to Commissioner Roth for the pledge.
Please rise.
Thank you. I will defer to the city clerk for a roll call vote, or roll call.
Thank you. Good evening. Commissioner Platzer,
Present.
Commissioner Roth,
Here.
Commissioner Stein,
Here.
Vice Chair Sharon,
Here.
Chair Reinhardt.
Here.
Chair Reinhardt, you have a quorum.
Thank you. We will move on to approval of the agenda. Will the makers of the motion and the second to approve the agenda please state your names?
Commissioner Roth, so moved.
Vice Chair Sharon, seconds.
Thank you. I will defer to the city clerk for a roll call vote.
Commissioner Platzer,
Aye.
Commissioner Roth,
Aye.
Commissioner Stein,
Aye.
Vice Chair Sharon,
Aye.
Chair Reinhardt.
Aye.
Chair Reinhardt, you have approval 5-0.
Thank you. We will move on to the public comment section. This section is reserved for individuals wishing to speak on items not listed on the agenda that are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the Planning Commission. If you have materials to distribute to the commission, please do not approach the dais. Instead, provide them to the city clerk for distribution on your behalf. Public testimony is limited to 3 minutes per speaker, and a speaker's time may not be transferred to another speaker. Written comments submitted by individuals may not be read aloud by another speaker. Individuals addressing the commission shall refrain from disorderly conduct that disrupts or otherwise impedes the orderly conduct of the meeting. I will now defer to the city clerk for public comments.
Thank you. No written correspondence, in-person speaker cards, or remote hands are raised.
Great, thank you. Our next item is to conduct a public hearing for the consideration of a tentative tract map to convert existing office suites into office condominiums. I will now open the public hearing and defer to Community Development Director Robbie Nesevic.
Good evening, Honorable Chair, members of the Planning Commission. Tonight we're going to be discussing a condo conversion project located at 29229 Canwood Street. It's for a conversion of an existing office building into condominiums. So this is case number PZ 2026-10TM and TTM 085261. So the project is an existing 47,454 square foot office building that currently has 155 surface parking spaces. The total lot area is 2.71 acres, and the applicant, who is Srinivasa Group, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, is proposing to subdivide existing office space into 12 office suites on the first floor and 10 office suites on the second floor to provide for the individual ownership of units, and no physical improvements are proposed to the site. So on the screen is an aerial image of the property. As you can see, the office building to be subdivided is on the left-hand side of the property. So compliance, the project complies with all applicable requirements of the Agoura Hills Municipal Code, including existing setbacks, parking, height, and lot size. There's also several requirements listed in the Subdivision Map Act that the project also complies with, most notably noticing requirements to existing tenants. So all applicants are required to provide notice to all existing tenants upon application, and also of the public hearing, and all of the applicable notices were provided. So in terms of next steps, once a tentative map is approved, a final map must be approved and recorded to effectuate the subdivision. All final maps are approved by the City Council and recorded at the Los Angeles County Clerk within 2 years of the date of the tentative map approval. For the California Environmental Quality Act, the project is exempt pursuant to Section 15301 of the CEQA guidelines because it converts existing leased office space into office condominiums for sale and does not change the use of existing facilities, and it does not authorize any new construction. And so with that, staff recommends the Planning Commission approve a tentative tract map to convert existing office suites into office condominiums, subject to conditions and based on the findings of the attached draft resolution, and make a finding of exemption under the California Environmental Quality Act. And with that, staff's available for any questions, and I believe the applicant also has a presentation that we can get pulled up.
Great, thank you. Does any commissioner have any questions of staff? Commissioner Stein?
Okay, so my concerns are to make sure that converting one controlled office property into 22 independently owned properties does not create future parking problems, access, maintenance, or use intensity. So I have questions for staff. This described as an office condominium conversion with no change in use, but the plans that the applicant submitted says medical condominium project. So does medical office uses have different parking, traffic, utility, accessibility, or building code requirements in general office use?
Yes, the primary difference is that for regular office, it's 1 per 300. For parking for medical office, it's 1 per 200, but the project still meets all applicable requirements, including parking, even if all tenant spaces were converted to medical.
Okay, so does approval of this map in any way establish or imply any entitlement for medical office use or future medical use, or they will still have to be independently comply with city zones and parking requirements?
No, this is just a subdivision of space, but medical offices are allowed by right under the underlying zoning district.
Okay. And I'm assuming from what we heard that the parking supply is sufficient not only for today's tenants, but the range of uses permitted in the zone.
That's correct.
Okay, and then I read somewhere that it has numerous existing easements and including an important reciprocal ingress, egress, and parking agreement, you know, with 22 separate ownership interests. Are they going to just stay general to the property?
Yes, all easements have to be maintained as part of the subdivision.
Okay. The other questions I have for the applicant, thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you. Commissioner Potzer, do you have any questions?
I'll wait.
Okay. Vice Chair Sharon?
All right, thank you, Robbie. So is it, just to be clear, all the construction will be interior construction, or will there be any exterior construction?
This particular project doesn't approve any individual construction to happen. So what happens is the applicant submits for a tentative map. If they're approved, then they move forward to the final map process. As part of the final map process, they actually delineate the exact location of the airspace. And at that point in time, then individual tenants and condominium owners can essentially do their own tenant improvements to meet the requirements for the space.
Okay, understood. And is it typical to take a building that is owned by a single owner and divide it up into multiple owners under one roof? Is that a typical process?
It's common, yes.
Okay. And since this is going to be a tentative map, what is the process if it's changed between the final approval and now? Do they come back to us for that, or is that something that happens during the final approval of that map?
Yes, if anything substantial changes, they would have to do an amended tentative map.
And come back to us?
That's correct.
Okay. At this moment, that's all my questions. Thanks.
Thank you. Commissioner Roth?
Yeah, thank you very much for the presentation, Robbie. I just want to be abundantly clear for the public that I know the title that we had up there a second ago, and when you look at this online, it does say condo and condominium, but to be 100% clear, this is not housing. This is to convert the current pre-existing structure, subdivide it into sellable office spaces, which there will be individual owners of. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Commissioner Platzer, did you want to go now?
I'm going to wait until the speaker.
Okay. All right, great. So the only question that wasn't answered by my fellow commissioners was, is there, so with the parking, we're already good there with infrastructure, and I understand that there is not going to be any construction as part of this procedure. Right now, as it stands, will this possibly displace any tenants?
I'll defer to the applicant on that. They do have a few existing tenants, but not many, and so I'll just defer to the applicant on whether they plan on having those tenants stay or whether they're planning on leaving.
Okay. I'll defer any other questions until after the applicant presentation. Thank you. Okay. So does any commissioner have any ex parte communication to disclose?
I've visited the property, and I've been in that property multiple times in the past.
Okay, thank you.
I drove by the property and spoke with staff.
Great.
I've been in the property for personal use before.
I've also been in the property before.
I have driven by the property. I have not actually been in the property before. So now that we all have that out of the way, I will defer to the applicant. You may come up, and you or your representatives will have a total of 15 minutes for your presentation. Please adjust the microphone and watch for the red light on the podium. When you see the yellow light, you will have 1 minute to wrap up your comments. And if you don't need the entire 15 minutes, that's okay too.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Divya, and I'm here to share with you guys our proposed plans for the Apex Health Collective, the 29229 Canwood building in Agoura, and our request for subdivision of the interior space. And what I hope to share with you is that it's a physician family raised in Agoura and really excited about returning to invest in the very community that raised us. Next slide. So rooted in Agoura, returning to Agoura, raised here. I'm one of four that graduated from Agoura High School in 2004. All of my siblings actually graduated from Agoura High School, and all four of us went to medical schools and have built our careers in medicine, and all of us married doctors. So there are a lot of doctors in the family, and the extended family now includes 9 physicians and surgeons with training from UCSF, Cleveland Clinic, University of Michigan, Mayo Clinic, UPenn, and many more. So we really did a tour of the United States to get all our training done, and love to be back home where we were raised. And it's really a golden opportunity for us to create a long-term medical destination in the same community that shaped my family. Next slide. It's a large empty building. That's how I bought it. We had one tenant then, and we still have that primary tenant now in addition to myself. He is a physician, and there are terms in his lease about how things would transition should the nature of the building or the ownership change. And of course, we have every intention of honoring all of his rights as the tenant and per his lease. 29229 can support multiple complementary medical specialties under one roof. It has the size to do so and the parking to do so. And prior to our acquisition, the building was entirely vacant. There was, just as we had purchased the property, there was this one medical tenant. Post-COVID, this and numerous surrounding buildings remain vacant due to the diminished office space demand. So being able to use it for medical is really being able to convert this building to its full potential, in my opinion. 47,000 plus square feet, and the permitted signage now identifies the building as Apex Health Collective. Next slide. The subdivision turns vision into a durable local investment. The request allows physician owners to individually invest in, improve, and operate their own professional suites within one coordinated medical center. Ownership creates commitment. Individual ownership gives each physician family member a direct long-term investment and development in Agoura Hills while also attracting business from adjacent cities. I will tell you just from personal experience, I'm at Cedars, I'm at UCLA, my office is in Agoura Hills, and it is tremendously helpful to our community and surrounding neighborhoods to have someone who has access to the bigger hospital systems but is able to provide that care locally. Each specialty can build appropriately. Different medical practices have different infrastructure, equipment, workflow, and capital needs. None of this, of course, would result in exterior construction, but simply being able to individually invest in the specialty-specific equipment that we need, and subdivision allows for that tailored investment. Delivering multi-specialty and collaborative care locally, the practice remains part of a shared medical ecosystem designed around complementary specialties, collaboration, and of course, local access. Next slide, please. So these are just within my family, all of the specialties. We all did something different. So I am the chief surgeon at the Institute for Advanced Breast Reconstruction. I do plastic surgery as it relates to transplant microsurgery for breast cancer reconstruction. We have advanced imaging, orthopedic and hand surgery, GI and pulmonology, interventional radiology, ENT, head and neck surgery, hematology and oncology. And under primary and family care, we have included sports medicine, which is the current tenant. Future complementary specialties can include cardiology, ophthalmology, neurology, dermatology. Really, the options are endless. Next slide. What this can mean for Agoura Hills, it's a locally owned medical hub to create value beyond the walls of the building, care closer to home, more specialty-specific care available locally, reducing the need to travel for every advanced consultation and service. Of course, the local investment physician owners have an incentive to improve their suites, maintain the property, and invest for the long term. Collaborative medicine, complementary physicians and diagnostic services in one location can make coordinating care so much easier, both for patients and physicians. And community stewardship. The project is led by a family. We grew up in Agoura, and we want the building to contribute meaningfully to the city that raised us. Next slide. So our request is to please approve the subdivision of the interior space at 29229 Canwood, allow our family of physician owners to invest in and develop suites tailored to their specialties while building a cohesive multi-specialty medical destination for Agoura Hills. Thank you.
Great, thank you. I appreciate it. So now I will ask, before we move on, does any commissioner have any questions of the applicant? Commissioner Platzer.
I'm a neurologist, 40 years in practice, so I know that medical buildings require different utilities and space, so it's not like building an office. You just have to comply with the state and the local government, right?
Yes, of course, but I think the primary goal is to have this as medical offices. I think obviously within each specialty, whatever they need to comply with, if they want to expand that, they would need to come as individual owners to get the necessary approval before proceeding. But it's subdivided to be office space, medical
Right.
office
It
space.
includes ramps and access for disabled people, right?
Of course, absolutely.
And my other question and concern is there is one doctor who's been in practice there since 2003. So in medical buildings, you have a long-term lease. So what happens to this particular tenant? I would assume there's, how many tenants there are? Two, one? I don't know.
There's one, and the lease was just signed.
Yes, we have one tenant currently who is a physical therapist and a sports medicine.
Right.
Sir, you would have to actually come up to
We
the
had-
podium so that can be read into the record. Sure, sorry, thank you.
Yeah, I can answer that question. So we have one tenant that
This
just,
is Ravi Srinivasa,
yeah.
my husband.
Thank you, thank you.
nice to meet you, yeah, Ravi Srinivasa. So we do have one tenant currently that's not our own offices that we are currently using. And so that tenant just signed his lease in the last year. So he's been in practice for some time, but I think he had an office in Tarzana for a long time and then switched over to this building more recently. And so when we purchased the building, he became our tenant. And he does have a lease that's in place currently that we intend to honor his lease terms.
So if this turns into condominiums, what happens if he doesn't want to purchase a condo?
We would respect the terms of his lease.
Okay. So he-
Absolutely.
Okay, that was my concern.
He's
Sure.
a valued member of the community. He has a prolific practice.
Correct,
We have
I know that.
a deep respect for him. He's wonderful, actually, and he's done a lot for the building, has a beautiful office, and absolutely, we will honor the terms of his lease. as it's written.
So there's only one tenant, because I believe there was 3 tenants. One was a veterinarian business, and another one was a breast, or is,
I'm the breast surgeon, and we no longer, when we purchased the building, the only tenant was the sports medicine. Yeah, but there's no veterinary practice currently. The only other owner in the building, or sorry, only other tenant in the building, individual, would be the sports medicine physician.
I can just add one other thing. So yeah, there was a veterinary owner that was there for many, many years, and then they left. And
Prior to us.
prior to us acquiring the building.
okay, so those were my major concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other, Commissioner Stein?
Well, you answered the question about tenants, so I'm happy to hear about that. I'm just curious, when they buy units, will they be assigned parking, or is it just going to remain common to all the owners?
The plan is to remain common to all the owners.
Then there was talking about condition 16 requires each unit to be individually metered for gas and electricity. I don't think it's feasible, so I just want to make sure that that's all going to be called out on the CCNRs, which the city attorney will.
That actually might be a question for staff.
Well, they would know whether it'd be
Oh,
feasible or to convert.
Because you've looked into
would it-
that.
Yes.
He's looked into that, so
Yeah.
I'll let him speak to it.
Okay.
We did look into that, and so we do currently have a sub-meter for one of the tenants, and so we had a way to do that. It's not metered directly by the city, but we sub-meter his units, his AC units, and his panels that are connected to his unit, and we have like a cloud-based way of monitoring how much power he's using, and then can generate a bill that corresponds with the electricity use. So far, gas use has been so low that we haven't felt the need to add a separate gas meter, sub-meter, and same with water use. It'll probably be part of the association dues at the end of the year as far as those costs are concerned.
That's what I would have expected. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any follow-ups or, okay, great, thank you, Commissioner Stein. Any on this side? Vice Chair Sharon?
Hi, thank you for the presentation. We must have gone to school together at the same time, so it's really lovely to hear that you guys all want to come back and build a hub here. I know that we need it, or I feel like I need it, so it sounds like a great project to get underway. You did say tenant/family member in your presentation. So is the intention to be all of the family members to own their own individual unit, and then and you also said collective medical care, so or collaborative medical care, and so the intention is really people come and they have all their services under one roof, and you guys collaborate amongst yourselves. Is that correct?
Yes and no. The goal is to be able to provide as many specialties locally as possible. A lot of us have complementary specialties. So imaging is useful in head and neck surgery. It's useful in breast surgery. It's useful for sports medicine. So that is an easy one. But I think as it grows, the need for other specialties or even referring out will still always be there. So I think the goal is to provide whatever we can locally, work together and centralize as much as possible. But I think as a physician who is a part of many systems, you sort of always have to maintain relationships with the other centers around you, just so you do what's right for the patient.
Understood. And there's so you said there was about 9 doctors in your family. Are you guys going to be the only people occupying the building, or will you guys be selling individual units as well to the public?
I think it just depends on where the cards fall. Right now, because there are so many of us that need the space and want to build it out, we're sort of ready to go. I think once that space is filled, and depending on what's left, what the needs are for whether it's the community, the patient population, or amongst the doctors themselves, I think there still will be an opportunity to recruit other people. But right now, we're focused on family and the nine of us ready to invest and build out our practices.
Understood. Cool. And then, is there anything that needs to be specialized if you're having radiology in a building that's touching a wall that shares with family medicine, for example? Is there any does will that impact is the map, like, taking that into consideration, or can you, a little elaboration? I'm out of my element when it comes to that.
Sure, yeah. So depending on medical offices, no, that shouldn't be an issue. Certain imaging modalities may require that, but those would be because they're individual. That's one of the benefits, actually, is that they can then individually meet compliance, meet standards. You know, certain things are better on the first floor or need certain lead walls, for example. So that would then need to go through approval processes to make sure that they're compliant, we're meeting all the rules and regulations, and they're choosing a unit that is then conducive to what they want to do. And that's actually one of the biggest benefits of the subdivision, is to be able to allow physicians to individually tailor their units per what the rules are.
Okay. Those were my questions. I'm good. Thank you.
Commissioner Roth?
Thank you so much for being with us tonight. I guess I just have one question. If you all can occupy and you're all ready to go, what's the impetus for converting the use from its current kind of composition to individualized condominiums?
It's the requirement of personal investment. For example, my sister is a head and neck surgeon. The amount of money she has to invest into certain equipment, scopes, the televisions she has in her office is very different than my office, which is already built out. So to be able to invest that degree, to that degree, she wants ownership of that particular unit. Gastroenterology is a similar example. So different specialties have different financial investments required if you're going to go into private practice. And without having a subdivision where they're allowed ownership of their space, it's very difficult to make that investment.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you for your presentation and for prioritizing coming back to Agoura Hills as a fellow alumni of AHS. It's nice to.
I feel like I have to ask what year. I'm 04.
Oh, I think actually you might have gone to school with my brother. So
Yeah?
yeah, so
I
around
was
that time.
07.
Yeah?
Yeah, so.
2010, sorry, I'm a baby.
Mine started with a 19, so I'll just leave it that. Just leave it at that. But it was late. It was late in the 1900s, so it's fine.
1900.
We don't need to get ink and paper involved in this. That's fine. But I think most of my questions have been asked and answered by council or by the fellow commissioners. I really appreciate all the questions. The only one that I think that you just kind of expanded on was understanding if it was, primarily a family affair, why it would make sense to subdivide. And from a business standpoint, I could see where, you all have different corporations or partnerships or LLCs, and then, of course, insurance, et cetera, insurance equipment, banking. I can see where that would make more sense. The only, I guess, outstanding question I would have would be, so for general governance of the building, you would have an owners association, an HOA, but in an office environment.
Yep.
And that would make sure that everything was maintained according to the rules and regulations of the city.
Of course. Of course.
Which I presumed, but wanted to make sure that was, out on the record. So those are my questions.
My dad raised 4 rule followers. So whatever the rules are, you guys tell me. I will make it happen.
To get all of you through medical school, and yes, I could see that. So, congratulations on that again. That's a huge accomplishment. Okay, so before we close the hearing, any other additional questions? So, Commissioner Potzer?
Yes, so if this is a family business, this is not going to turn into an HMO type setting where you're, this is going to be individual practices. I'm an individual doctor, so I have a lease in Woodland Hills, but this is not going to be where you're going to an HMO collectively down the line.
No, actually, all of us already have very different financial setups for our practices based on the needs of the community and the primary payer mix and all of that. We all have our separate LLCs, S-corps, insurance contracts through individual tax IDs. The needs are very different. For example, the average age range for a breast cancer patient that I see is very different than for the type of procedures my sister does. So there's zero intention of forming a collective of that variety.
And is there any radiology in this building, x-rays?
There is a plan to include radiology. There already is, I believe, X-ray through the sports medicine tenant that we have, but I'm hoping to bring additional imaging modalities and imaging-based procedures as well.
And it doesn't violate the Stark law, you know, where someone has ownership in a radiology and then gives business to the same radiology?
It would be, I think the only, because they own, it's subdivided, they own it themselves. I almost think it would be a Stark law violation if one person owned it's almost a Stark law violation if we keep it as is, if you understand what I'm saying. To actually subdivide it, I think would work against, is in favor of following the Stark law.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, if there are no other questions, you may be seated. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you all so much for your time.
We will now move on to any public comments. If you have something to distribute to the Planning Commission, please hand it to our city clerk. Public testimony is limited to 3 minutes per speaker, and the speaker's time may not be transferred to another speaker. Written comments submitted by individuals may not be read aloud by another speaker. I will now defer to the city clerk.
Thank you. We did not receive any written correspondence. We do not have any speaker cards, and we do not have any hands raised. But I see a gentleman over here that may wish to speak.
Okay, so,
You can complete a card after.
okay, all right, so after you speak, you would just need to complete a speaker's card, but you may come up to the dais. Thank you.
My name is Richard Hoffman. I'm an Agoura Hills resident. I really wasn't planning on attending this meeting, but I saw the subject matter and I thought I might be able to contribute something of use. So I was a long-term tenant of 29219, and this particular property, which is behind the substation at the corner of Canaan and Canwood. So as you're turning, you really can't see this section, but the section has 3 buildings. The subject property they mentioned is on the western side of the property. The property I was on was the northern side, and there's a northeastern building. I've been there for over 8 years. I was there prior to COVID. I was there subsequent to COVID. That center does very poorly because it's obscured and nobody really knows what's there. So it's kind of a hidden spot. So if you go there on any day just by random and you look at the parking lot, it might be 20, 25% filled because that's the nature of the property. So Agoura Hills is searching for places to build housing. If there's a place in Agoura Hills that perfectly suits that purpose, it's that section. Has freeway access, has a large section of unused parking, has 3 2-story buildings that could easily be converted to housing. I know it's a difficult proposition because you're required by state to build housing, and that is the perfect place to do it. And I believe their purpose and obviously what they're doing is fantastic. My father-in-law was a physician. My 3 kids went to Agoura High School, so we're all on the same team. But if you make it more difficult to convert that location to housing by making it a subdivision, so then you'd have to get the approval of each individual owner, it's going to make it more difficult to trade that location, which again is perfect for housing, to convert it to housing. So even though the purpose is wonderful, and I'm sure they're doing a wonderful thing for the community, because of the obligation that the state puts on Agoura to provide housing, to change the subdivision would go against that very purpose. And you would see me at some future point in time maybe arguing the other side when you have a property that I think doesn't fit this. But if at some point in time you personally do an inspection there, you will note that what I say is correct, and that the purpose, it shouldn't be a business purpose, it should be a residential purpose. So thanks for the consideration.
Thank you for your comment.
And I will fill out a card.
Thank you.
We have no further speakers.
Okay. Right now, I will defer to the applicant. If you want to rebut at all, you have 5 minutes for rebuttal.
There are in fact 3 buildings, and there's one that has greatest visibility. That's the office building, 29229. It's visible from the highway. There's one higher up on the hill, makes it a little bit a little bit set back, still visible though, because it's a hill, so you can kind of see it above. And then there is that third building. Interestingly enough, that third building is actually on a land lease that expires, and each individual building, the first two, the most visible, are being individually sold. We bought the lower one, and they are not on the land lease. But this more obscure one that is separate is on a land lease. So I just wanted to bring everyone's attention to the fact that they're already functioning as three separate buildings. They're visible in three separate ways. And then what's most interesting is that particular building, which this gentleman feels may be better served for housing, is actually on a land lease and separate anyways.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, if there are no other questions before we close the public, we have one question, Commissioner
Yeah, it's of
Roth.
staff. I'm not sure if we should do it now or before we close. So just a point of clarification. In the COA on item number 11, I just find it strange that every other item does not refer to I. It kind of, this item says, I understand that receipt, and then I just found that to be weird, given like every other one is like the applicant shall. So I don't know if that's like just like a minor editorial change that we should make for clarity, but I just wanted to point that out. It has nothing to do with your presentation, but thank you.
Yeah, so that's our standard language. The thinking behind it being that once the applicant accepts the approval that the commission grants, that it's sort of an agreement that they're agreeing to comply with all of the conditions that come along with the resolution. So that's why we do it.
I appreciate it. Yeah, like I said, it just I in one location, applicant in every other. So I just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Thank you for the clarification, Travis. Okay, if there are no further questions, I will close the public hearing. And we will move on to deliberations. Commissioner Roth, would you like to start?
Yeah, I want to thank you all for coming tonight. Appreciate you bringing business back to Agoura Hills and investing here. We oftentimes discuss and highlight, a lot of folks who invest in their properties and their homes, and that increasing the home value and just the general aesthetics and of our community. I do think that this is a great use case of converting some underutilized space. I do agree with the comment that was said. I do think that there's a lot of space in our community that, I hope over time we can look at for different use cases that are underutilized. This one, I think alone, as a standalone is a great use case. I think it's going to funnel new money into our tax coffers. I think it's going to improve access to a lot of different medical use cases and keep folks from driving and other good things. So really appreciate it. I can make all the findings, and I'll pass it along to the next commissioner.
Great, thank you. Vice Chair Sharon?
Thank you for your presentation and for your comments, sir, and your rebuttal. I too can make all the findings. I find that I love to see where we're investing in some of the, housing, like you said, but also like the buildings that bring people to Agoura. They may not live here, but they come and they shop and they use the services and they do their life in Agoura, whether it's in Malibu or maybe Calabasas or whatnot. So I can make all the findings, and it looks like a beautiful project and a great vision that you guys have. So thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Stein?
Well, thank you, staff. Thank you, applicant. Thank you for your comments. I mean, it's always nice to hear that the public comes out and gives us their thoughts. My overall reading is that the subdivision is relatively straightforward. Therefore, based on both staff and applicant, I can make all the findings.
Thank you. Commissioner Platzer?
Okay, thank you very much. As a fellow physician, it is very expensive to rent and lease, and prices going up and our reimbursement is going down. I've lived it 40 plus years. My only concern, and you answered it, was that the person who's there now is not going to be kicked out, that he has either right to first refusal or you're going to maintain the lease, and that was my biggest concern. And I appreciate your comments. there are a lot of empty buildings, and hopefully we can get low-income, very low-income housing. So I can make all the findings as well.
Thank you. And again, thank you for your presentation, and sir, thank you for your comments. And yes, adhering to the new California housing requirements is going to be a very multifaceted and very complicated issue, and unfortunately, a lot of it's out of local control. I won't editorialize too much on that, but I will say that every single person on this, commission thinks about how to make sure that, Agoura Hills is considering all options and making sure that we're using appropriate existing resources in a way that fits with the feel and the mission of Agoura Hills. And looking at, I remember when these buildings went up, which seems like it was yesterday, but, again, if I use the term that I graduated in 19-something, then it sounds, but yes, it's very interesting, right, to see how Agoura Hills, continues to evolve, and looking at something where it might not, affect the outside cosmetics of the building, but the interior gets built out and used for the intended purpose of offices. I too can make all the findings. So, had to make sure we don't editorialize if you're not at the dais there. So, all right. With that, we moved through deliberations. So now I will. Now that we've yes, the staff recommendation. So I will defer to Assistant City Attorney to read aloud the staff recommendation.
Okay, great. So just to repeat, tonight's staff recommendation is to adopt a resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of Agoura Hills, California, approving tentative tract map number 085261 for an office condominium conversion project located at 29229 Canwood Street, and making a determination of exemption under the California Environmental Quality Act.
Thank you, Travis. I will now call for a motion and a second to approve the staff recommendation.
Commissioner Stein moves to adopt the staff recommendation.
Thank you.
Commissioner Roth, seconds.
Thank you. I will now defer to the city clerk for a roll call vote.
Commissioner Platzer?
Aye.
Excuse me. Commissioner Roth?
Aye.
Commissioner Stein?
Aye.
Vice Chair Sharon?
Aye.
Chair Reinhardt?
Aye.
Chair Reinhardt, you have approval, 5-0.
Thank you. I will now defer to Community Development Director Robbie Nesevic.
The decision of the Planning Commission shall be final within 15 days from the date of the decision unless an appeal has been filed with the City Council.
Thank you. Are there any comments from staff? Okay, great. Hearing none. Are there any comments from the Planning Commission?
I would just like to publicly congratulate Commissioner Roth for becoming our council member-elect. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
I would like to echo my congratulations. Thank you for calling that out, Commissioner Stein.
Appreciate you both. I just, thank everyone. We've got a few more months together, but really appreciate all the work that we've been able to do together and look forward to a few more months together. I wanted to just make a comment and congratulate staff on the phenomenal grand opening of our Ladyface Greenway Beltway Greenway Park yesterday morning. It was great to see. I think over 80, if not almost 100 folks were out there, and it was just amazing to see our city's first park on the south side of the city, and such a good use case. So I think it's going to integrate really nicely with Wizens and just be awesome. So I just want to congratulate all the staff who made that happen.
Thank you for calling that out. I was very sad that I had to miss that, because I had, I think, back-to-back Zoom meetings that yesterday morning. But it's one of those projects where we've, to see it, in plans and then to see it in real life is a real treat. So if anyone hasn't had the chance to visit or drive by yet, please make sure to do so. Any other comments? Okay, well then I will announce that the next regular Planning Commission meeting is scheduled for 6:00 p.m. on Thursday, September 3rd, 2026, in the council chambers of the Civic Center, located at 30001 Ladyface Court, Agoura Hills, California. This meeting is now adjourned.